New York never really slept. The yellow cabs, the flashing billboards of Times Square, the smell of roasted peanuts and exhaust fumes, it was all noise and light. But beneath that glitter, Fifth Avenue carried a secret it didn't want to share. At 2:15 a.m., the high-end jewelry store Langston & Co. stood silent, its glass windows reflecting the empty street. Suddenly, the silence shattered. A single gunshot echoed between the skyscrapers. By the time police arrived, the scene was chilling. The store's alarm hadn't gone off. The security cameras had been cut with surgical precision, and lying in a pool of blood was Richard Langston, the 58-year-old owner, shot once in the chest. But what baffled everyone was this: nothing had been stolen. The diamonds, the watches, the cash all untouched. Detective Daniel O'Connor, a 40-year-old Bronx-born cop with a sharp tongue and sharper instincts, walked around the crime scene with a frown. He had seen robberies, gang killings, mob executions, but this was different. "This isn't about money," Daniel muttered, crouching near the body. His eyes caught something odd. Richard's left hand was clenched tight. When the coroner pried it open, a small torn piece of paper slipped out. On it was scrawled 2 words. By morning, the news exploded across the city. "Murder on Fifth Avenue, mystery note found." Everyone was asking the same questions. Who were the first 4 victims? And why had no one heard of them? What Daniel didn't know yet was that this was just the beginning of a game someone had planned years in advance. Detective Daniel O'Connor didn't like riddles. He was a man of action, raised on the rough streets of the Bronx, where fists usually spoke louder than words. But the slip of paper from Richard Langston's hand, 5th victim, wasn't a random taunt. It was a signature. Inside the precinct the next morning, Daniel spread the crime scene photos across the board. His partner, Detective Laura Chen, leaned against the wall, arms crossed. She was younger, methodical, and rarely let her emotions show. "So," Laura said, pointing at the note, "5th victim, who were the first 4? Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. "That's the $1,000,000 question. If they were reported murders, we'd know. This means either we missed them or nobody even knew they happened." Laura opened her laptop. "Give me a few hours. If there's a pattern, I'll find it." By noon, Laura's screen glowed with connections no one else had noticed. 4 names popped up, each tied to the financial elite of New York. 1. Anthony Carver, hedge fund manager, found dead of an overdose last month. 2. Elaine Porter, art gallery owner, reported missing 2 weeks ago. 3. Judge Malcolm Hayes, supposedly a car accident on FDR Drive. 4. David Whitmore, a banker, collapsed in his office, ruled as a heart attack. Laura's eyes narrowed. They didn't die the way the reports say. They were covered up, staged to look like accidents. Daniel whistled low. And now Richard Langston, 5th victim. He tapped the photo of Langston's body. Someone's knocking off New York's power players one by one. That evening, Daniel visited the Langston family townhouse on the Upper East Side. Richard's daughter, Victoria Langston, opened the door. She was in her early 30s, poised, but her red eyes betrayed sleepless hours. "My father had no enemies," she insisted, her voice trembling. "He gave to charities, funded hospitals, ma'am." Daniel interrupted gently. "Everyone in this city has enemies, sometimes the ones closest to you." Victoria's expression tightened, but she didn't answer. Instead, she handed Daniel an envelope she had found in her father's study. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed in block letters. Daniel felt a chill run through him. This wasn't random. This was calculated. Someone had a list, and Langston was just the latest checkmark. Back at the precinct, Laura pulled up phone records. "Daniel, look at this." She pointed to a number that appeared on all 5 victims' call logs within days of their deaths. The same burner phone. Daniel's jaw clenched. So our killer isn't just murdering them, he's contacting them first. Laura leaned back in her chair. It's like he's warning them, or negotiating. Daniel looked at the board, the 5 powerful names connected by red string. Hedge fund managers, judges, bankers, art collectors, jewelry magnates, all tied to New York's wealth. He finally spoke, voice low. This isn't about revenge. This is about money, big money. Someone's balancing the books in blood. That night, as Daniel left the precinct, his phone buzzed. Unknown number, he answered. A distorted voice spoke. You're late, detective. You should have seen the pattern sooner. Daniel froze. Who the hell is this? The voice chuckled darkly. 5 are gone. 6 is next. You can't stop it. And somewhere in New York, another powerful name was about to be crossed off the list. Detective Daniel O'Connor hardly slept that night. The distorted voice replayed in his head over and over. 5 are gone. 6 is next. But the question was who? By sunrise, the board in the precinct had grown messier. Photographs of the 5 victims were connected with red string. At the center, Laura had pinned one word, debt. Laura spoke first. Daniel, I dug deeper into financial records. All 5 victims were connected to the same investment group 10 years ago, Silver Crown Holdings. On paper, it collapsed after the 2008 crash, but here's the kicker. Billions of dollars vanished into thin air. No investigation ever went public. Daniel leaned forward. You're telling me this isn't random murder. It's payback. Laura nodded grimly. Someone lost everything back then. Someone who thinks killing these people is the only way to balance the books. That afternoon, Daniel and Laura met with Special Agent Robert Kane from the FBI Financial Crimes Unit. Kane was sharp, expensive suit, but carried the arrogance of a man who thought local cops were always 2 steps behind. He glanced at the board. Silver Crown Holdings. Yeah, we had a file. Big players, dirty money. Hedge funds laundering cash for mob families and foreign investors. But the case went dark. Too many hands in too many pockets. Daniel narrowed his eyes. You mean people got paid to bury it? Kane smirked but didn't deny it. If someone's killing these investors now, maybe they think they're delivering justice. That evening, the news broke again. A body was found in Central Park. Eleanor Walsh, a 65-year-old philanthropist and socialite. Her throat was slit, just like Langston's. Next to her, lying in the grass, was a note. 6th victim, 1 debt closer. The city was in chaos. Headlines screamed of a serial killer targeting the wealthy. Protesters gathered outside City Hall, chanting that the police were protecting the rich instead of stopping a murderer. In the middle of it all, Daniel's phone buzzed again. Unknown number, the same distorted voice whispered. She begged before the end. They always do. But you can't save the 7th, detective. You'll watch him fall. Daniel slammed the phone against the desk. His temper flared, but Laura placed a steadying hand on his shoulder. Daniel, she said calmly, we have to think like him. If he's following a list, we need to find the next name before he does. Late that night, the detectives dug into Silver Crown Holdings' board of directors. There were only 7 original investors. 6 were now dead. That left one. Senator William Harrington, a powerful New York politician with presidential ambitions. Laura's eyes went wide. If the killer's following the list, Harrington is next, and if a sitting senator is murdered, this city won't just panic, it'll explode. Daniel grabbed his coat. Then we don't wait, we move tonight. But what neither detective realized was that the killer already knew they were coming. And the trap had already been set. Senator William Harrington's Manhattan townhouse was a fortress, iron gates, private security, cameras on every corner. By midnight, the place looked like a war zone. Black SUV lined the street, Secret Service agents posted at every entrance. Detective Daniel O'Connor paced the marble foyer while his partner, Laura Chen, double, checked the guest list for Harrington's late night fundraiser. The senator insisted the event go on despite the death threats. This is reckless, Daniel muttered. He's baiting the killer and we're stuck playing defense. Laura adjusted her earpiece. Or maybe that's exactly what we need. If the killer's obsessed with finishing the list, tonight he won't resist showing up. By 9:00 p.m., the townhouse buzzed with New York's elite bankers, celebrities, lobbyists. Crystal glasses clinked, laughter echoed, but beneath the glamour, tension hung heavy. Daniel scanned the crowd. Every tuxedoed guessed a potential suspect. Then the senator appeared. William Harrington was in his late 50s, broad-shouldered, with a commanding smile that had charmed voters for decades. He shook Daniel's hand firmly. "Detective," Harrington said, "I appreciate the protection, but I refuse to live in fear. Whoever this madman is, he won't scare me off my path." Daniel studied him. Harrington's confidence felt less like courage and more like arrogance. Still, the detective nodded. "Stay close. Tonight's not about speeches, it's about survival." At 10:15 p.m., the lights flickered. Just like the other murders, a chill crawled across Daniel's spine. Suddenly, a scream erupted from the second floor. Guests scattered in panic. Daniel bolted up the staircase with his gun drawn, Laura at his side. They burst into Harrington's study. A masked figure in black stood by the window, knife in hand, and on the floor, Senator Harrington, bound to a chair, blood seeping from a shallow cut on his neck. The intruder's voice was the same distorted growl Daniel had heard over the phone. "Detective, you finally caught up." Daniel raised his weapon. "Drop it. It's over." The figure laughed. "Over? You still don't understand. Harrington isn't a victim. He's the architect. He and the others stole billions. They destroyed lives. I lost everything. I'm just the executioner." Laura's eyes widened. "So who the hell are you?" The figure tore off the mask. A gaunt face, late 40s, sunken eyes that burned with rage. Michael Carver, brother of the first victim, hedge fund manager Anthony Carver. "My brother was their scapegoat," Michael spat. "They pinned it all on him. He died of an overdose. No, they silenced him. I've spent 10 years planning this moment. One by one, I made them feel what my family felt." Daniel's grip on his gun tightened. "And how many innocents did you drag into your crusade? How much blood makes you whole?" Michael sneered. "Justice is never innocent." He raised the knife to Harrington's throat. In that split second, Daniel fired. The shot echoed through the room. Michael collapsed, clutching his chest, eyes wide with shock. His last words gurgled through blood. "You should have let him pay." Harrington gasped for air as agents cut his restraints. He was alive, shaken but unbroken. As medics rushed in, Daniel and Laura exchanged a heavy look. The list was finished, but the city's wounds weren't. Later, back at the precinct, Laura pinned the final photo on the board. Michael Carver, vigilante turned killer. Daniel stared at it for a long time before finally speaking. He thought he was delivering justice, but in the end, he was just another man drowning in greed and revenge. New York doesn't run on justice. It runs on debt. Laura closed the case file. "And debts never really stay buried."